Have you ever had a time in your life when you were gasping for breath? Well, that was me in the country of Nepal long ago. Top of the world, gasping for air. I look back and I realized I didn't understand my lungs. I just thought they were like party balloons. They fill up and then they empty. But really, lungs are more complex than that. Here's my trachea, so air is going to come in through my mouth, and the inner lining here is going to trap all kinds of organisms in the mucus, and then the cilia are going to force it upwards, up, 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 and I'm going to swallow it. Okay, some bacteria and dust gets into my lungs, but I'm ready for it. I'm built to survive. In 2020, the COVID pandemic was a problem because these viruses, these studded viruses, were entering people's lungs, and the reaction was huge. Antibody webs and red blood cells and white blood cells were destroying the virus, but they were almost doing too good a job because in some cases edema occurred. You see, in a normal lung, we're swapping out carbon dioxide for oxygen and this alveolus or air sac. But when we're sick, these millions of alveoli are going to be filled with fluids because our body is dumping antibodies into the lungs to destroy the invader. But now we can't exchange gases. If this goes on long enough, then we end up with something like pneumonia or fluid in the lungs. We're fighting a battle. We'll probably win it, but this is a life-threatening condition. Now, I wanted to understand the lungs a little better, so I searched for images, and I realized I could stare at this and really not understand it. So when this happens, I often get out my color pencils, or I use my computer. And here I drew that trachea that has a mucus lining for trapping bacteria. It's going to divide into the bronchus. It's going to divide again into a secondary or lobar, same thing. Tertiary, another division, segmental. And it's going to move air into my lungs. We have these different lobes. Think about this. Long ago, someone runs a spear into the back of one of your ancestors, but they don't die because, okay, the inferior lobe is perforated, but we have 4 other lobes that are functioning. There's a pleural sac, so our lungs are not like party balloons. This keeps the lungs somewhat inflated no matter what, even when we exhale. Blood and all the nutrients and defense cells are brought in through the pulmonary, and then the waste products, dead invaders, come out through the veins. All right, lungs do something else that's kind of cool. They are a major site for fat oxidation. Basically, you can breathe yourself lean. The way this works is, when we exhale, we're exhaling carbon dioxide. The more you breathe, to some extent, the faster you oxidize fat, usually muscular fat. But too much or too intensive workouts sometimes don't give you this same benefit as a moderate one. To a chemist, what I'm talking about here is just the oxidation of an atom. The millions of atoms in our body have electrons, and when they're exposed to oxygen, that electron is going to spin off. The atom loses energy, we lose weight. The process is called oxidation. Now, I figured out an activity I could do. I looked and I found a formula. For someone 154 pounds, they exhale 33 milligrams of carbon dioxide each breath. So basically, we're converting fat into carbon dioxide with each breath. And then I figured out some activities. I did push-ups for 1 minute. And then I flopped down and I counted the number of breaths per minute. That's the recovery breathing rate. I took that and I worked into a formula because you remember 33 milligrams per breath. So 33 times my 31 breaths after I did my push-ups, and I got my 1023. I did that for wall squats, calf raises, shadow boxing, relaxing. Each time I multiplied by the same factor. Now you can do something else. You can do dancing or whatever you want. Figure out your own activities that are kind of fun. Once I got these, I plotted them. Now you might see here, big box because I don't weigh exactly 154 pounds, so I gave it a range. And then I did a little narration. Okay, push-ups were pretty intense for fat oxidation. But I like shadowboxing. It gave me that moderate one that I want. Here it is. When I was done, I had an attractive report with my drawing up top. Took me a while. My raw data, a graph, and a nice little summary. I was done.